Hi, I'm Chris Loftlin, and you are watching for BassPlayersOnly.com.
Hi everyone, John Liebman here. You're watching for BassPlayersOnly.com. By golly, here we are again on the campus of Boston's Berklee College of Music with our old friend, the ever-happy Chris Loftlin. How you doing, Chris?
I'm great. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. It's good to see you. We did an interview a couple of years ago. I was just watching it yesterday. It was a minute ago, yep. And so we already got your story about how proud you are of that Philly heritage that you have, and we talked about some of the great Philadelphia heroes and music. I'm from Detroit. We have a little bit of a music heritage there as well. And some great jazz bass players like Paul Chambers and Ron Carter. Maybe you've heard of those fellas, huh?
Absolutely.
Well, let's talk more about you. We got the whole story about your upbringing, and we talked about Brian McKnight, and we talked about kids these days and trying to impart bass knowledge to them. So you're a busy guy. I know you must have been doing a lot in the last couple of years. Why don't we start by having you bring us up to date on what's been keeping you busy the last while?
Last couple of years. I've been at Berklee, and that's been incredible. And to be in this bass department around all this inspiration is just absolutely incredible. Like, it's just, I bug all of them for everything. Every time Patitucci or Vic Wooten are here, always bugging them for something. And then people who are here all the time, they have to put up with me. So I'm always bugging Oscar. I'm always bugging Joe. I'm always... Yeah, all of them.
Oscar Stagnaro, Joe Santerre. What is it exactly, or who is it that is inspiring you here at Berklee?
All of them. They you get people like, just that they all have careers, and they all found a way of kind of paying it forward by being great educators. So, the whole thing of, those who can't teach is actually a lie. I can't teach you something I can't do. And they all do it. They all do it in real time. They all write books. They all keep a full teaching schedule. And then you have those who commute. So they're here a couple days a week, but then they're back, in New York and Baltimore and those places.
Like Mike Pope comes in from Maryland a couple days a week, right?
Right. And, everybody from New York, and they're here, and we have them for a couple days, and then they go back, and they're back in the jungle of the music business. And I think that's the really cool thing, is you don't have a bunch of people who kind of once knew what it was like, and they toured with some people who were famous once. Everybody's still very much in the game. They're still very much paying their bills by being bass players and musicians and producers. You have lots of Grammy awards walking around here. You don't get one, by not being active. You have lots of, the guy who, designs electronics for, Federa basses and for Trickfish amps. It's just walking around on top of,
That's Mike Pope again you're talking about, yeah.
That's not normal. You bump into John Patitucci in the hallway. None of that is normal. And so, it's their resources, and they all still practice, and they're all still really excited about music. So you go to them. Sometimes you don't have to go to them with a question. Sometimes they go, I just heard such and such. You really dig them. I just checked out this new thing. You got to check it out. I wrote down this rhythm. I found out this. You got to. That's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
You're getting me excited.
Yeah,
hey,
it's fun around here.
Let me turn the tables on you for a minute, because there's so many students. There's such a great bass faculty. I ran into Bruce Gertz. I said, "Well, have you been here 100 years already?" He says, "No, only 42." Yoda. But what I'm getting at is there's so much knowledge that has been imparted to these students from such a steady faculty, guys that have been here 10, 20, 30, sometimes over 40 years. What about the students that come in? What are you faculty members learning from them that you could share with us?
They all have really great ideas. and they're really excited about bass. They're really excited about music. So the whole, oh, I got this gig and I gotta learn this music, and oh, I gotta fly here, and that's not part of their thing. They want to do all of those things. They're really excited about, they're excited about what they know, and then you give them a record and they get more excited. And then you have to check that record out again because, oh, you should check out such and such. You should check out this record that they played on. And then, oh, I want to play a song off of there. And then you have to go back and you have to check it out. And then with adult ears, with ears that, you've played a ton of music, you go back and you end up falling in love with that record or finding something great about that record. So you have two excited people in the room about one song or one record. And the music that they have now, it's way different than the music that, say, these folks grew up on. So they introduce you to lots and lots of different points of view. You being raised on people who were raised on the people that you listen to. I get folks that come in and they have these records that were completely influenced by, say, Electric Band records. But they did that in combination with Dream Theater records. So that band that they introduce you to, they're out of control. You've never heard a bass player play like that. It's a completely different point of view. The bar for them is Victor Wooten and Marcus Miller and John Patitucci. That was, they were superheroes to us, but for them, that's how you play a bass. That's normal. So they come in knowing Jaco Pastorius. Oh, yeah, it's just, it's very strange. So it's like you have to meet that. You have to say, okay, I need you to understand what he's playing. Do you understand what he's playing? That, you end up having to do as much homework as they do. And it's great. It's completely great. I've been turned on to so many different bands, especially from overseas. There's, Latin countries. European countries. They've taken all of American music and completely twisted it up, and now they have these these fusions and these hybrids. Yeah. It's amazing. So that's what I get from the students, is just being turned on to another point of view.
Plus, they have YouTube and all kinds of things we didn't have when we were coming up. And Victor Wooten was giving a clinic or teaching a class this afternoon, and I popped in there for a few minutes. And it's always great to hear his ideas and what he's imparting to the students. But what you're talking about, I felt that two ways. Like they're giving back as well. What an I love hanging around here. I love coming to Berklee. Let's talk a little bit about your gear.
Okay.
What do you got? Basses, strings, amps?
So I'm still playing the MTDs I've been playing. I'm still in love with my Japanese Squire. I'm still in love with that bass. But I had a new addition to the family a few months ago.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Mazel tov.
Atelier Z made me a bass. I went to them 2 years ago to build me ask them about a preamp. I love the sound of their basses. I just wanted a preamp so I could kind of add that to the sound palette. And they were very sweet, very nice to me. This past spring, I went to Japan, and I went by and played some basses, and they were incredible. And they came out and they hung out at the show, and they offered to build me a bass, kind of to my own specs thing, and it's so much fun. That bass is incredible. They built it, so big shout out to them, because it's a really beautiful instrument. So that's what I've been having fun with lately.
Okay, you were very high on your Warwick amps, as I recall.
I still love my amp.
With what, LWA 1000? You're still playing that?
Yep, I still drag it around.
Oh, you were talking about how Steve Bailey had it, and you kept every other week, hey, can I borrow that amp again? Can I borrow that amp
Thanks,
again?
Steve. Yeah, yep, I sure did. I borrowed his amp until, poor thing.
People who play that amp love it. What do you love about the Warwick equipment?
it's kind of like when you play a bass unplugged and it has that really great tone, and then you plug it in and it changes and you don't like it anymore. And you hear how the amp and or the preamp is coloring it different. Right. I don't get that from that amp. Like if I sit there and I play a bass and I plug it in, I'm getting the sound of that bass. So it's almost like I can test things by, or know that it's the preamp if it has a preamp in it. The sound of the bass and what the bass sounds like comes through that amp. So everything, on zero and you get the sound of the bass. Once you start to turn some knobs, you can get all kinds of great colors out of it. Yeah. And then the fact that it's 2 channels, so I actually use it. I use it as kind of with the A/B switch that comes with it. For some of the road gigs that I do, if I'm playing key bass, I'll have key bass come through one channel and my electric come through the other. And then there's been gigs where I have different EQs, maybe for a slap tone and then for something else. So with the A/B switch, it'll go in between the two. So it's great.
It's lightweight too. Yes.
6 pounds.
6
right
pounds.
Under the chair on the plane in front of you.
What kind of strings are you using?
Dunlap. I'm using those. Okay. Yep, those are great strings. I love them. They say they're super bright, but they're
just the right amount of bright?
Yeah, it's just the right amount of bright. Gives you those great frequencies.
Just right is just right. Yeah. What about the future? I know you've had a long gig with Brian McKnight. You're still playing with him. How much is that keeping you busy? What else is going on? And what about the future? What else is coming up as far as you can see?
McKnight's gig does keep me busy. I've this semester has been about a month long. And I've almost missed half of it. So I've had.
Well, we won't tell anybody.
Yeah, I am. So I've lots of rescheduling already, but stay pretty busy with him. There's still a big demand for him and what he does and how he does it. So that's been great. And then I've been doing. I think I mentioned before I did a really fun gig earlier this year with a dear friend of mine, Eric Krasno. That was really fun. We did it in New York and played with lots of different people. That was great. And then there's a dear friend of mine, my brother, Isaiah Sharkey. He's like as far as I'm concerned, the best guitar player on the planet. He's had some gigs that I've been fortunate enough to been able to play, and that's always a great time. He's actually talked me into doing a record.
Well, did he have to twist your arm, or were you?
He absolutely
really?
Because I don't. First of all, I don't like bass records. I hate bass records. I hate them unless they're unless the music is bigger than just the kind of stereotypical formula. I can't stand bass records.
Everybody who's a bass player that I interview that says, yeah, I've been a sideman for so long, I want to put out my own stuff, but it's not going to be one of those bass records. Right. It's about the music, songs. Sometimes they're right and sometimes it's a bass record. But
but I think because bass players are in that spot in the band where we negotiate so many different things that we can appreciate the music, and we appreciate it from standpoint of support. So we don't need to be out front, and we get to, I guess, appreciate things, just from that vantage point. We get to appreciate things differently. So I hear that all the time. But
is there something definite that you're working on that's going to come out that we can watch for? Do you have the music ready? Do you have?
Still writing it. Still, okay. It's funny. Like I said, it took him to talk me into it, but I knew that, some of the stuff that I played him, he actually got it. He understood the direction I was trying to go into.
Well, this is our second interview. You just opened it up for a follow-up, and next time we want to hear about this non-bass bass record.
Non-bass bass record, yes, indeed.
There you go. We'll start a new genre. I know I told you I just watched the interview that we did last time, but I can't remember if I asked you this or not. I probably did, but I don't remember. Okay. What would you be if you weren't a bass player? Something outside of music.
No idea. I have no idea. I have no idea. I really don't.
Well, you know what? Keep playing the bass then. How's that? All right. Because I think you're still enjoying it.
Yes, indeed.
Well, on location at just about my favorite place in the world, the campus of Berklee College of Music in Boston, Massachusetts, with our dear friend Chris Loftlin. I'm John Liebman. You're watching for BassPlayersOnly.com.